cameraman, I'm okay with that. I'm sure you guys have a really busy day, and what better way to start off a Saturday at Best Buy headquarters than talking about burnout and depression in a packed room also. You may notice that some of the chairs are turned 90 degrees. In fact, most of the chairs are turned 90 degrees. Luke asked that before we leave, we turn the chairs back 90 degrees. If you could, thank you. Surprised me. Again, surprised me. So if you are in the wrong spot, this is the 4:10 dawn burnout session. Thank you for all staying. It was sketchy for a minute. Two things. One, hi, I'm Garrick Van Buren. I like to present at MinneBar. This is one of my few sessions that have not been about fonts. I'm
sure you'll bring it around.
I'll figure it out somehow, yeah. Yes, actually, I am. For a whole bunch of reasons that are listed in signs, but we can talk about those later. Why am I here? First, who is familiar? Who knows of Why the Lucky Stiff? Awesome. Yes, I think it's a fantastic story because I was introduced to Y's work when I first started learning Ruby. Because how better to learn but from Y? And in fact, I fell in love with one of his code libraries, Apricot. I don't know if anyone played with Apricot. It's a interesting markup language parser that is something like Ruby syntax and something like jQuery syntax, which means you can get very precise and get exactly what you want, even if your syntax looks really funny. But it's a joy to work with. And not long after I discovered Apricot and started using it in a couple of projects, loved it, everything vanished. All of his code libraries, all of his Twitter accounts, all of his websites were completely gone. He no longer existed in all the ways that everyone was expecting him to exist. And everyone was unresponsive in all ways. No communication could get to him. I don't know, did anyone catch the Slate article about him that was published maybe a month ago? Yeah, really good read, huh? It ends with saying he just wants to be left alone. He's got a normal job at a stable employer doing work that he's happy with and has completely disengaged himself from this entire Ruby persona that he created, fostered, grew, and has been completely adopted and revitalized by the Ruby community. He's no longer a part of it at all. And it has like 6 layers of communication filters between him and the real world. Really interesting story, I think. Right up there is Mark Pilgrim. People are familiar with Mark Pilgrim's great work. Dive into Python, dive into HTML5. I still use dive into HTML5 as a reference for what I can do, how it's supported, and how things are supposed to be. Again, and his work actually inspired the title of this session. Because when he disconnected everything. He took down the websites and put up a 4:10 gone status, which says, don't come back, remove your references to this URL, this material, it is gone. Now, both of these people, personas, very high profile. I mean, relatively speaking, we're not like dignitaries or anything. And both of them completely disconnected their online personas that they had built up and created. I don't want it to get that bad. That seems as unsustainable as anything else, right? But it's to some degree, it's almost inevitable and likely. There's this thing called, again, I'm still working from a different whiteboard. Supernova burnout. The idea that you reach a certain pinnacle in your career and it's one no longer challenging, no longer interesting, and you don't know what to do next. And all you're getting is critiques, and you're getting more critiques than you are getting support from the community, the audience that you're serving. Whole book on it. If you're interested and you get to me first at the end of the session, it can be yours.
We'll pull you off the wall.
Yeah. Reclaiming the Fire. I highly recommend it for one story, because the story is that interesting. The story of Michael Jordan's retirement. Anybody know who he is? Great Ruby developer? No. Yeah. Some of you may remember that he led the Chicago Bulls to 3 World Series. Is that what it's called? In a row. So what's he going to do next? Right? That is the challenge. Once you've taken your team, your employer, to the pinnacle of the field 3 times in a row, what's next? Yes, let's get there, right? Because that's interesting. He's obviously the #1 player in the entire profession, so probably not terribly challenged professionally, especially if he's able to successfully take his team to that place 3 times in a row. Everyone now expects that he's going to do it a 4th time. So there's only downside for him professionally. If he does take him to the World Championship, thank you, whatever, Rose Bowl, I don't know, a 4th time, everyone's going to be like, well, of course, that's what he can do. But if he doesn't, everyone's like, oh, my God, his life is over. And so what's he do? Completely retires. Walks away for like 18 months, where I'm sure he just sat on the couch and ate bonbons. And then I'm sure he said something crazy like, I know, I'll be a professional baseball player. It could be anything, like I'll be a professional chef. I'm not sure it actually really mattered what he did next. But Hanes underwear, golf, I'll make a movie with a cartoon rabbit. That'll be challenging. But it's interesting is that short period of time, relatively speaking, 18 months or so, was all he really needed to, one, get completely out of shape, where he became his own challenge to get back to his level. And the expectations of his performance publicly no longer existed. And I think he went on to win the World Series or something. I don't remember. He did well again. He didn't do well again. He did horrible and finally retired completely.
No, when he went back to basketball, he was good again.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yes. It's all very confusing. My point is he got his challenge back and his interest and his motivation back for basketball. And he was able to reach the pinnacle again. Yeah, right? So it's okay, I think, is the short story. I am not Michael Jordan. I have been working for myself for 9 years this month. Thank you. Thank you. In that time, I've bought 2 houses and had 3 kids. Right. You can see why I'm leading this session now. Also, the last couple of years haven't been, say, macroeconomically fantastic. So it's been not easy in a lot of ways, especially because the third kid hit almost exactly the time the floor fell out of the economy. So sometime around last year, I was going nuts, just going crazy, bringing in work, right? Because I'm the person who, I'm the person who makes the household, finances the household, right? Right? Thank you. I was looking for that word. And if only more of it was bacon. So there's a point in the back of my mind that says, okay, clients, projects equal sales engagements equal food, right, and happy wife and kids. But there was a point last year where that didn't happen, where I was anxious, feeling trapped, isolated, and unsupported in my own home, doing work that I sold myself, and generally resentful of past Garrick for selling work that he really didn't want to do. Right? So it's one thing when you work for Marissa Mayer and she says, if you need to go to your kid's soccer game, well, I suppose. But it's another thing when you're the person who is structuring your schedule so you miss the kid's soccer game, right? It's sort of doubly bad there. So I knew that despite having one of my best years ever, that I could never do that again. That I need to figure out what part of this is making me feel horrible and making me not want to bring joy and light to the rest of my family or want to do good work that I know I can do. And I know the moment where I realized this, I was working on a project I didn't want to be working on the back porch while the kids were swimming in the river on a bright, sunny summer day. Vacation. So that's my story. And we've got a full room here of people who thought that the best way to spend their Saturday would be in a session on burnout and depression. So I'm guessing that you've got some stories. You don't need to share them now, but I'd love it if you did. Happy birthday, Ron. So I decided that I would figure out what burnout was, and because it can't be new and it can't be unique to us. And in fact, to some degree, it kind of feels like burnout in the tech world is a first world problem, because there's a whole section in the U of M Medical School's website about burnout in residence, burnout in medical professions, any sort of healthcare field, any sort of field where you're dealing with people constantly and continually, like ministers and faith leaders. Yeah, so, I mean, that, plus there's volumes of work about how to resolve it for these very social professions where you are, in fact, always needing to be there. Less literature about how to make the guy who works out of his basement feel better about himself. So here's a common list, handful of feelings that I can absolutely identify with. And just thinking of these things, there was I had a project last year where I dreaded the regular check-in with the client. Not a good sign. Not a good sign. No. And then unsupported, unresentful. And ultimately it comes down to these were projects that weren't great fits for me and things I should have known on the outset. After working for yourself long enough, you know the sort of things that you can do well and should do. And ultimately it became, well, here's what I do, and here's what I want to do, and if they're close together, you're probably doing pretty well. Might be off by a little bit. Maybe there's challenge, maybe there's growth there, but you're probably doing pretty well. Low chance of burnout. Half of my projects last year were like completely disconnected from each other, from what I wanted to do and the work I was being asked to do. Yes? Yes. If I don't leave the house for more than a day, I get very cranky. So there are a handful of things. Yes, and what I think is great is you can both be your worst enemy and your best friend in that situation. You can be the one who says, no, I need to buckle down and do this, when really you should be the one saying, no, I need to go for a walk. Excellent. Any other comments? Yes. Paul, so good to see you.
Yeah, hey Garrick.
Yeah.
I've been freelancing for 5, 6 years now, doing all of my work at home, and I find that something that gets in my way in that situation is hearing a lot of ideas about how I'm supposed to be. So I should be able to get up every morning at the same time and work efficiently straight through this many hours, and then put that work away when it's the end of the workday. And I've done a lot better at being very honest with myself about what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. So,
And when you're good at it.
and when I'm good at it. So actually, I'm somebody who works well in short bursts.
Mm-hmm.
I work well if I'm getting up and moving around periodically, and I do a lot of my best work between 10 p.m. and 1 a.m.
Yes.
And so I try to set up my whole situation, how I work, when I work, and what I expect of myself, so that I'm playing to my strengths and fooling myself about my own weaknesses. Like, I'm somebody who works better if I feel like I owe somebody else something that they're waiting on me for. Otherwise, I procrastinate. When I get in a project, I immediately find the person that I can say, I'll do this and this and this. I'm not boxing myself in, but just give myself some motivation. Yeah, I owe Garrick this code.
Right.
And I work on it. When I'm ready, I get out of the house when I need to, and gosh, the whole thing will be so much better.
Yes.
I accomplish my own flaws.
Yes. I have after years of working this out, I've got about 6 hours max of actually focused, concentrated work on one thing time, and then it is gone. Yes. Yeah, totally being conscious of what sort of brain power do I have right now. Absolutely. And there are days, the other day, I'm like, I have none brain power right now. Anything on this side? Yes.
Wanted to say, I'm like Paul and Laura and Garrick. I'm a freelancer now, but I had my big burnout experience when I was working for other people.
So what's great is this book here, The Truth About Burnout, is that. It's saying that the cause of most burnout is the dysfunctional organization around you that you are being sensitive to and being impacted by. And so while lots of burnout is structured to help the individual, it's really the individual's burnout, according to this argument, is a result of, as a symptom of an environment and organization that is causing burnout.
Without telling my full story, I will say that in my case, I think I was with a pretty good organization.
Awesome.
In the end, I didn't want to spend that much time writing code.
Excellent. Excellent. I'm going to take Andy. Yes. Yes. I'm going to take Andy and then Seth.
Yeah, it's we were saying. I actually work for a bank, and in the last 4.5 years, I've had 8 different bosses, each with different competing ideas and visions and goals. So the bad thing is you really can't build the rapport, or you take time to figure out what the level of communication required, what does this boss expect or want, and it makes it difficult because each person's a little bit different in their management style. So a lot of mine is just trying to figure out, okay, with this new boss, what is he really saying? And each one's different as far as how well they communicate.
Absolutely.
My current boss, I have to go back and make him drag out exactly what he wants because his communication skills are horrible. So I think a lot of it is figuring out what is that level of engagement that you need, what level of communication, and figuring out how to read and work with the other person.
Absolutely. Seth, thank you. Right. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yes.
I think a lot of it is finding a balance in between your work and play life,
Mm.
and kind of just following that line of I mean, obviously if you're hurting in the pocketbook, you probably need to increase your hours, decrease the play, but I mean it wouldn't hurt to take the weekend, go fishing, and kind of normalize that out or something.
Nice. I'm glad you brought fishing in there. Yes.
Okay, my encounter with burnout was actually in high school. Back when I was valedictorian and AP scholar with honor back in the late 90s. Anyways, things that I learned are that being good at everything under the sun is not sustainable. But I will admit, though, ever since then, I'm always, I've also often been thinking, gee, why don't I have as much energy as I did back then? But I guess anyone can say that. And of course, the key is the output, not the input.
Interesting. Thank you. Ron.
Well, my whole career, I've been a general manager who has managed technology. And first of all, I think one of the real epidemic problems is terrible managers. I say we promote people because they're experts at something as opposed to being really good managers. And I think endemic within that is the reviews. Invariably, we are reviewed, and I'm great at 1, 2,
Jamie.
Yeah, I just share that one of the things that I think particularly a lot of us in the room are technologists, and one of the things that I think, like one of the things I become very is not so much about the career professional burnout, but physical burnout.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I would like notice how often you look at a screen, and I don't know if I'm a crazy person, but like my brain gets like
Wah, 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 wah. Yeah.
from constantly looking at that, and it's gotten way different with iPads and iPhones. And one of the things that I started to do is like take note when you're in an elevator, the door's closed, how many people, including yourself, pull out your phone. Like you don't even give yourself that 32 seconds, just staring into null space, right? Or like I take the bus and like you stare at your phone. Like I find interesting about every fifth or sixth bus trip I just
Like the old times.
It's not about the old days.
Yes, I've actually, last time I talked to my optometrist, I said, so you work in computers and look at monitors all day? And she said, I'd like you to structure your office so that when you can look up and just stare for a while. And so I completely redid my office, and if I need to, I can like open another door and just look 2 rooms away. And yeah, yes.
I was asked a long time ago. I was like really involved in social media. I really like being social and whatnot. So somebody offered me a job in California, running their social media accounts for them. I'm like, wow, I can make a business out of this. And I started doing that for everyone. And I got completely burned out of like people, conferences, social media.
Yeah, yeah.
And removed myself from the equation for like 2 years.
Yes.
And I'm just starting to come back into it.
So yeah, during this whole process, I went through the last year and some change. I deleted all but one Twitter account, deactivated all those other things, and just said no, they don't exist anymore. Hugely helped. I think it's a little I was almost betrayed by how helpful it was to disconnect from all that stuff. Yes.
I'm trying to outdo everybody, but I got double burnout.
You wanna run the section for a while? You're totally welcome to.
I've tried to dial back my interactive design efforts, and of course that was affecting my career to some degree, which I wasn't okay with because I wanted to build furniture, things like that. So I've been pursuing that for about 2 years and working roughly 75 hours a week, and finally burned out on trying to do all of that. Stumbling toward my dream, if you will. And one of the things I found, by force, last year my machine broke down. My CNC machine generating my work, and just slammed me into a shutdown. And I realized I didn't quite want to go back after it was fixed. So this year, January and February, I decided I would give myself a hiatus, and that's what the landscape do. It wasn't a complete like vacation. I was trying to figure out different ways around this. Like I would expand on what I'm doing without working with my working with others. So I'm in the process of trying to figure out how that now. It's a little bit different here. But it's kind of weird when you're pursuing what you really want to do, and then you get burned out doing that.
Yes.
Because I'm a one person.
Yes, I think of me 15 years ago who'd be like, what, you're having problems? That sounds awesome. And yeah, exactly. So we've got 10 minutes left of this session. We need to take a couple minutes to turn around. I want to get Seth's comment in here. My favorite solutions so far have been from Martin Fowler, this is kind of a blunt effort, and then I'll get to an actual useful one. Martin Fowler who does Pragmatic Programmers, fantastic. I buy everything they publish. Huge fan. Well, not everything, nothing Python related. He took a vacation and set up an autoresponder that said, I've deleted your email. I will be back from vacation on these days. If it's still important, email me then. perhaps more effective strategy might be taking a look at Dana Boyd, who's this fantastic social technology and social researcher, who every year, again, takes 6 weeks off, but preps for, I guess 6 to 8 weeks ahead of that time, saying, I'm planning this sabbatical away from everything. What do you need done before then? Sort of doing a better job of managing in and out expectations. It's tough. It's hard. Totally worth it, though.
I had a boss that used to actually check and see where he had no snow coverage.
Yeah.
That's where he used to like the vacation. Try to pick a place where they couldn't reach him no matter what.
Yes.
And that's where he'd go every year. He'd pick a different place.
I want to burn through a few things. Things that have hugely helped me in the last 6 months. I go outside every day. If only a 20-minute walk to the worst coffee shop in Northeast. Seriously, it's horrible, but I know that it's a 20-minute walk that gets me out of the house. I don't even need to buy the coffee anymore. I just need to walk past the doorway. It's helpful. Purposefully disconnect. Something that I like to do is put my phone into airplane mode at 5 o'clock, and sometimes I forget to turn it back on the next day. Also, I've been reading a lot about there's a site called Keep the Sabbath or something like that, which, while I'm not religious, the framework is fantastic, and I think is wonderful. Is that we've got all these faith traditions that have said you need time away from whatever you do, whether it be the Jewish tradition or the Amish tradition or what have you. I think it's fantastic that this notion of away exists culturally. So I think it's called Sabbath.org, or I forget what it's called, Keep the Sabbath. But anyway, it says do things with your family. Don't do things with technology, blah, blah, blah. It's that's a really nice checklist for Saturday and whatever day that you want it to be. Wednesday's nice, too. I found a non-tech hobby that I'm completely obsessed with. And as I was thinking about this talk, I thought, wow, I kind of have too, but no. See, this is weird because to me, brewing beer is actually a tech hobby. But Coob is completely not. And I will spend way too much time playing Coob in the backyard because it's just throwing wooden sticks. There's no technology, and there shouldn't be. And every time I think, maybe there's a software application in here, and the other part of me slaps me down. No, there's not. Stop it. There are websites. Thank you, Jamie. That's why I haven't been so active on the websites, because it's my non-tech hobby. I think daily walk, and take the time to find out what you actually want to do. This is the process I'm going in now. Thank you for bringing up that again. I think this first quarter is a really good time to figure that out. Yes? Yes. 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 There's lots of different, 18 Minutes is a book that I'm reading right now that provides a structure for small bits of reflection throughout the day. That says, start the day saying, what do I need to do today? And end the day with, did I get done what I wanted to accomplish? And then throughout the day, take a moment. And this is what I think is really interesting about I don't know if anyone's watched the 30 Days Challenge that Morgan Spurlock did. There's one episode where he puts a very Christian man spends 30 days with a Muslim family, and they're in this massive argument, and then the bell rings, and everyone stops for prayer. Hugely powerful. And I thought, wow, just stopping in the middle of your day and reflecting on where you're at. How often don't I do that? Yes.
I think one thing you didn't mention here that's important is having endings. Sometimes things aren't sustainable. You just need to stop doing it.
Yes.
I mean, if you're in the tech field and you still want to be in the tech field, it's very easy for you to do that. You can just quit. It's not that hard.
Right? Yeah. Exactly. All right. Cool. Let's take a couple more comments and wrap this up. And then again, I've got books that I'm happy to redistribute, and we need to turn the chairs whatever plane you'd like, 90 degrees. Yes.
I was just to go off that comment. I used to own a web design company and work 70 hours a week, and I took a complete 180, and now I just manage servers, do that stuff, and no more code. That's
Awesome.
why I can't.
Awesome. Yes, Matt.
I don't think that we should wait for the next Garrick presentation at MinneBar to have discussions like this one, because a critical component, one of your themes is isolation.
Right.
And even especially when you're a company of one, to find peers who you can talk to has immeasurable value. Whether that's a peer group, whether that's tech friends, just making space and knowing that it's okay to have conversations like those that we've been having today, so that you then can take those conversations away and reflect on them.
Fantastic. Thank you. Eric?
Just on that, I haven't been there, but there's a meetup called Freelancer Happy Hour, which either would be a good place to do that or would be a good place for us to take over.
Andy?
Well, even I go out to coffee or lunch occasionally with my buddies off of LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
And what it helps me realize is I'm not the only one experiencing a lot of these problems. And it's more common than you think.
Absolutely.
And that's the bad thing is we all kind of
Yes.
get mired down in our own situation. We don't realize you're not the only one going through a lot of this.
We got a room full of people who thought this would be a good way to spend their Saturday.
Yep.
Yes.
I just wanted to point out that isolation workaholic is part of the tech culture. I mean, you look back at all the stories, and it's like, okay, people still do things by themselves.
Right.
We refer to people as heroes, but at the same time, we have to recognize that we are part of the culture too, and we have the choice to make it how we want it.
And perhaps the dream, right? Burn yourself up and then do a big enough exit that you can move to that cabin in the woods. All right, last one.
I was just going to build on what I read so I play soccer. I love playing soccer, and it ended up being I was like had 4 different teams this spring that were asking me to play, and I was like, you know what? No. And the thing about it is I felt bad about it because these are people I really like, and these are people that I've built relationships and everything, but it wasn't the right thing.
Yes.
And it's really
And what I found is, in my experience, when you say, I'm going to say no, the universe will continue to taunt you, to test you. Yes. And you have to keep saying no. Yes. I said last one, too. Yeah, exactly, right?
I just wanted to offer that one tool that I found amazingly helpful. Knowing how to nourish yourself. There's a great book called The 5 Love Languages. You actually get in touch with how you love. And it's like the 5 love languages are physical touch, quality time, words of appreciation, acts of service, and gifts. You get in touch with what your favorite languages are. Then when you do take time out for yourself, you can make sure that you're receiving the optimal nourishment that you're looking for.
Thank you, guys. Again, if you could turn your chairs.